all the ideas from Mel Robbins' book, The Let Them Theory. Mel Robbins' book, The Let Them Theory, is a simple yet powerful tool for improving relationships and your inner state by letting go of control over other people. The author proposes a liberating concept. Let people be themselves. Think, feel, and act as they wish. And I allow myself, where you choose how to react, preserving your energy, confidence, and boundaries. The idea came to Mel by chance at her son's high school graduation, when she was trying to impose her opinion on how everything should be. Her daughter stopped her with the words, "Mom, just let them." This moment became a turning point. And a short video about the Let Them theory garnered 60 million views and inspired thousands of people to get tattoos of these words. The book teaches you how to avoid getting stuck in resentments, expectations, and other people's reactions, and instead live lightly with self-respect and respect for others. Part 1, the Let Them theory. Chapter 1, stop spending your life on what you can't control. We constantly try to please others, to be liked, not to offend, to be needed, useful, relevant. This endless race for approval and control over others' reactions exhausts us and makes us prisoners of others' expectations. But the truth is, no matter how hard you try, for some, it will never be enough, and for others, it will be too much. It's an endless and useless game in which you always lose. Stop trying to fix everyone around you. Let go. Let them think, say, and do whatever they want. Give up meaningless control, and you'll immediately find energy for something truly important. For example, a loved one is once again unhappy with how you're raising your children or who you're dating. Let them. They have a right to their opinion, and you have a right to your choice. Don't engage in discussion. Don't make excuses. Don't argue. It won't change their opinion, but it will ruin your day. There's only one way out. Reclaim your power. Stop living by others' evaluations, and finally, focus on yourself. Everything that can't be controlled, let go. Everything you can control, your actions, choices, attitude, start there. Chapter 2, where to start. Let them plus I allow myself. Letting go of control isn't easy. We think that if we don't intervene, direct, or save, everything will fall apart. But in reality, control only gives an illusion of security. True power begins when you consciously choose to allow others to be themselves and to allow yourself to be yourself too. When you say let them, you detach yourself from others' drama, rejections, resentments, strange decisions. And when you add I allow myself, you direct your attention inward. How do I want to act? What's important to me right now? This isn't withdrawal or detachment. On the contrary, it's engagement with your own life, not someone else's. For example, your friends went on vacation without you. First comes resentment, then anxiety. I did something wrong, and scenarios start swirling in your head. Say, let them go. Let them enjoy their vacation. And now, I allow myself not to torment myself with doubts, not to compare, not to suffer. I allow myself to meet other friends, be happy for them, plan something pleasant for myself. Giving up control is only the first step. It's important to understand when you say let them, you free up space for yourself. And if that space isn't filled, it will fill with resentment, indifference, and loneliness. So act. Allow yourself honesty, freedom, initiative, sincerity, and self-respect. Conclusion for part 1. The first 2 chapters form the main foundation of the entire book. Stop controlling others, start managing yourself. The phrase, let them, becomes a magic button that turns off anxiety, resentment, and irritation. But one button isn't enough. If you simply let people go without engaging yourself, a feeling of detachment and loneliness appears. That's why the second half of the formula, I allow myself, is vitally important. It helps you not to shut down, but on the contrary, to open up to life, to start acting and building the reality you need. These chapters offer a simple and powerful framework. Let others live as they wish, and you live as you wish. Part 2. You and the let them theory. Chapter 3, the shock. Life is stress. Stress isn't an exception, but a basic setting of life. Even when everything's fine, stress will still find a loophole. Traffic jams, minor conflicts, expectations from others, unfinished business. But you can befriend it if you understand it's not stress itself that destroys, but our habit of trying to control everything and everyone around us. When something doesn't go as planned, repeat, let it be, allow it to happen. Stop fighting what you can't change and direct your attention to what's truly under your control. Instead of resisting reality, accept it, and you'll become stronger. For example, at work, everything piles up in one day. Deadlines, emails, calls. Instead of panicking, stop. Let the day be hectic. I will allow myself to prioritize and start with one thing, not trying to save the world in an hour. The paradox is that the more you accept chaos, the faster you create order within. Life won't become less stressful, but you will become calmer and more resilient. Chapter 4, let them stress you out. Stress isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's useful, like an alarm bell. Hey, you're in someone else's territory again. It's time to get back to yourself. It's important to learn to see stress as a signal, not a threat. To avoid burnout, you don't need to change your life. You need to change your reaction. When someone nearby is nervous or angry, you don't have to take it on. Let them stress out. Don't catch other people's anxiety. Don't become a container for their emotions. Think, this isn't mine. I choose not to get involved. For example, a colleague is irritated all day, raises their voice, snaps remarks. Let them. That's their way of coping. I will allow myself not to get drawn in and to stay in my own state. I don't have to be their lightning rod. You don't have to be a savior and stabilizer for everyone. Sometimes the best way to help is not to interfere and not to dissolve into other states. Keep your space for yourself. Chapter 5, let them think badly of you. The scariest thing isn't what people think badly of you, but how intensely we react to it. We spend a ton of energy trying to appear right, to be agreeable, to avoid giving cause for judgment. But people will still think what they want, and that's their right. Allow people to have their own opinions, even if you don't like them. Don't get into a fight to please everyone. Free yourself from this torture. Let them think you're selfish, weird, cold, conceited. You don't owe anyone anything. For example, you turn down a family trip because you're tired and want to spend the weekend in quiet. Someone will definitely think you're distant or indifferent. Let them, and I will allow myself to rest, and I won't make excuses. As soon as you stop currying favor with others' opinions, an amazing lightness arises within. Your voice emerges, your desires, your decisions, and a feeling of self-respect arrives. Chapter 6, how to love difficult people. Loved ones aren't always easy, and often the most beloved are the most challenging. They can resent, manipulate, blame, demand, but loving doesn't mean constantly saving them, adjusting, and enduring. Let them behave as they wish. That's their way of coping, surviving, getting attention. And you choose where you can show warmth and where you need to set a boundary. You are not obligated to carry their pain and behavior. For example, your mom once again creates drama. You're abandoning me. You don't respect me. Let her. I will allow myself to be kind, but clear. I love you, but in these moments, I need to step away. Period. No yelling, no explanations, no guilt. To love isn't to be convenient. To love isn't to dissolve, but to maintain contact without losing yourself. And this is possible if you allow people to be themselves and yourself to be yourself next to them. Chapter 7, when adults throw tantrums. Sometimes adults behave worse than children. They yell, slam doors, get offended, accuse. You want to either change them or run away. But there's a third way. Accept that's who they are. Let them. Maintain boundaries. Don't get drawn in. Don't try to navigate someone else's storm. If someone can't handle their emotions, that's not your responsibility. You can be there, but you don't have to plunge into the vortex. For example, your partner snaps over something trivial. You hear yelling, reproaches, but instead of yelling back or freezing, you think, let them. And I will allow myself to wait until they cool down and talk calmly later. And if they're not ready for dialogue, to leave without feeling guilty. Maintain your adulthood, even if the other person loses theirs. Don't stoop to the level of yelling, resentment, manipulation. Let them, and you be on your own side. Chapter 8. The right decision often feels wrong. When you start putting yourself first, saying no, standing up for your desires, you almost always feel guilty. Because you're used to right, meaning agreeable, helpful, silent. But in reality, right means honest. If a decision causes excitement, fear, anxiety, it doesn't mean it's bad. It means you're stepping outside your comfort zone. And let it be so. Discomfort is a companion to growth, not a sign of error. For example, you turn down a lucrative offer because it goes against your values. You're scared, you doubt yourself. Let it be. I will allow myself to choose what resonates, even if others think it's foolish. Don't expect inner silence as confirmation of the right decision. Often, silence comes later. First a storm, then freedom. Chapter 9. Yes, life is unfair. The world isn't set up on the principle of, if I try hard, I deserve it. And not everyone gets what they deserve. Some walk all over others and succeed, while others do everything right and are left with nothing. That's the truth of life. Unpleasant, but honest. Comparisons, resentment towards fate, internal protests don't help. Acceptance helps. Let it be unfair. But I will continue to live, do, choose, not to win, but to be myself. For example, you were passed over for a promotion, even though you worked harder than others. Let it be. And I will allow myself to talk to my boss, express myself, and not fall apart over the injustice. My worth isn't in someone else's decision. As soon as you stop demanding fairness from the world, you start living simpler. Not because you've given up, but because you've finally started choosing your own path without constant comparisons and resentments. Chapter 10. How to make comparison your teacher. Comparison is poison if you perceive it as proof of your inadequacy, but it becomes a source of inspiration if you see it as a mirror of your desires. The person you envy isn't better than you. They just show you what's important to you. When you feel a pang of envy, don't condemn yourself. Say, let it be. I will allow myself to look inward. What do I want? And then take a step in that direction. Turn comparison into a roadmap, not a sentence. For example, you're watching a friend's stories where everything is perfect. Home, family, business. You feel an unpleasant wave. Let it be. Envy is a signal. I will allow myself to admit, I want more freedom and confidence. What can I do for that today? Compare not for pain, but for direction. Everything that causes envy can be a clue. That's where you want to go. Conclusion for part 2. The main idea of this entire section: stop managing others and start managing yourself. People will be anxious, lose their temper, criticize, compare. Let them. And you choose how to react, what to feel, what to be responsible for. The formula is simple and powerful. Let them for everything outside your control. I allow myself for returning to yourself. Together they provide calm, inner support, and a sense of freedom, even in chaos. You stop being a victim of others' actions and become the author of your own life. Part 3. Your relationships and the let them theory. Chapter 11. The truth they didn't tell you about adult friendships. In adulthood, friendships become complex. Everyone has their own concerns, schedules, families, priorities. Contact with people no longer happens automatically, as it did in school or university. And often we get upset when someone distances themselves, writes less, or doesn't show interest in us. Don't take it personally. Let them. Everyone has their own life, their own periods and difficulties. Stop taking offense and expecting relationships to be as they were before. And I will allow myself to be open, not to cling, and to notice who is truly there and wants to be in contact. For example, a friend hasn't written in 3 weeks, even though you used to chat every day. Let them. Maybe they're busy, they have other tasks. And I will allow myself not to overthink, not to punish with silence, but simply to ask, how are you? Friendship isn't an obligation to be connected 24 divided by 7. It's the ability to maintain warmth even at a distance, to respect changes, and to accept that relationships can transform. Chapter 12. Why some friendships naturally fade. Not every friendship has to last forever. People come into our lives for a certain stage, and that's okay. Sometimes we grow in different directions, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to hold on to relationships just because they're old or should be important. Let people go. Don't cling to what's no longer alive. Letting go doesn't mean stopping loving. It means stopping carrying dead weight and opening up space for something new. For example, you're still in touch with someone from an old company, but conversations have become strained, you're not interested, and after every meeting, you feel tired. Let it be. Let this friendship end, and I will allow myself to free up time and attention for people I'm currently aligned with. Not all relationships are meant to last forever. Sometimes the best self-care is to allow the old to end without drama or resentment. Chapter 13. How to create the best friendships of your life. Friendship doesn't just happen. In adulthood, you have to create it, build it, invest in it. If you want warm communication, take the initiative. If you want support, offer it. If you want intimacy, be open and vulnerable. Don't expect people to guess what you want. Speak up, invite, take steps. Don't wait for everything to be like it used to be on its own. And I will allow myself to reach out first, not fear rejection, and be honest about my desires. For example, you want to spend more time with a colleague you connect with well. Don't wait for her to suggest it. Text, hey, want to grab coffee after work? I enjoy talking with you. Good friendship isn't a coincidence. It's a practice. And the more consciously you invest in it, the more it gives back. Chapter 14. People only change when they want to. You can't change another person. Even if you see someone destroying themselves, making foolish mistakes, repeating the same patterns, they will only change when they are ready. Let go of the need to save them. Let the person live their lessons. And I will allow myself to be there if I can, but not to impose solutions, advice, or my logic. Everyone has their own rhythm, their own path. For example, your sister is once again in a relationship that you consider toxic. You want to explain that she's repeating an old pattern. Let her. It's her life. And I will allow myself to stay in warm contact and offer support when she herself wants to change. True respect isn't when you say, I know what's best, but when you give another person the right to choose their own path and their own time. Chapter 15. How to unleash the power of your influence. You can't control another, but you can influence them. The most powerful influence is your example. When you live in alignment with yourself, maintain boundaries, and show honesty and care, others begin to be drawn to that. Let your transformation be an invitation, not a pressure. I will allow myself to be authentic, to speak openly, not to manipulate, and not to expect immediate results. Influence is about patience and respect. For example, you want your partner to take better care of their health, but nagging and requests aren't working. Start with yourself. Let them see you change your diet, exercise, take care of yourself. And I will allow myself to be an example without pressure. Influence is not control, but presence. The strongest energy is to be yourself and not hide it. Chapter 16. The more you rescue, the deeper they drown. When you constantly rescue someone else, you prevent them from growing up. You take on their tasks, pull them out of trouble, fix things, offer a shoulder to lean on when they should be standing on their own. This isn't help. It's control and pretty wrapping. Let them fall. Let them make mistakes. Let them be uncomfortable. And I will allow myself to be there, but not to carry someone else's responsibility. I'm not God, not a therapist, and not a 24 divided by 7 emotional support cushion. For example, your adult son can't find a job and asks for money again. You panic again, debt, again bailing them out. Let them. And I will allow myself to say, you can do this. I believe in you. My support right now is enough for conversation and moral backing. Love isn't rescue. It's belief in another's strength. Let go of the rescuer role and trust life. Chapter 17, how to provide support correctly. Good support isn't advice and control, but attention and presence. Sometimes a person doesn't need a solution. They need to be listened to and simply have someone there. Helping isn't telling someone what to do, but being connected heart to heart. Let the person feel what they feel, and I will allow myself not to interfere, not to be a know-it-all, not to correct. I can ask, do you want me to just listen or offer advice? And by doing that, I'm already helping. For example, a friend is going through a breakup. You feel the urge to say, you don't need him, forget about it, stop, let them. And I will allow myself to be quietly present, to hug, to cry together, to make tea. That's enough. Support is the ability to be there without breaking boundaries and without losing yourself. And it begins with silence, not solutions. Chapter 18, let them show you who they really are. People always show who they are, not by words, but by actions. And if you stop making excuses, overthinking, waiting, you'll start to see who is truly in front of you. Let the person reveal themselves. And I will allow myself to look at reality, not hope. No need to color what's already fading. It's better to honestly admit, this isn't for me. For example, you're dating someone who constantly cancels dates and doesn't show initiative. You make excuses. Stop. Let them. This is them. And I will allow myself to stop waiting and see if I want this kind of relationship. Love isn't self-deception. It begins with an honest look at who is by your side. Chapter 19, how to take your relationships to the next level. For relationships to grow, you need to talk about your desires and boundaries. Don't guess, don't wait, don't bottle things up, but speak, and do it not with reproach, but with care. Let the other person decide if they are ready or not. And I will allow myself to express myself, to tell what's important to me, what I want, what worries me, without accusations, with respect. For example, you want your partner to spend more time with you. Say it. It's important for me to spend time with you. Let's think about how that's possible. Let them react as they can. And I will allow myself to speak about my needs. Intimacy isn't built on silence, but on dialogue. And if you want more, start talking. Chapter 20, how every ending becomes a beautiful beginning. A breakup isn't a failure. It's the completion of one stage and the opening of another. Everything that ends frees up space. Allow it to happen. Let go of what is no longer alive. And I will allow myself to process the pain, sadness, emptiness, and move forward. An ending is not a period, but a transition. And beyond it is something new, even if unfamiliar for now. For example, you are ending a relationship. It's scary, painful. Let it be. And I will allow myself to cry, remember, miss them, but not to cling. I will allow myself to let go. Every ending is an opportunity to be reborn. Don't rush. Don't fill the void immediately. Just breathe and move forward, step by step. Conclusion for part 3. Relationships are a mirror. Through them, we grow, get angry, get hurt, connect, and learn. But for them to be alive, you need to stop trying to change everyone, control everyone, and save everyone. Let them. And I will allow myself to be real, clear, open, honest. You don't have to please everyone. You don't have to maintain every connection. You don't have to be convenient, but you have the right to choose who you walk through life with. And it always starts with you allowing others to be themselves and allowing yourself to be yourself alongside them. This is such a wonderful book. I have compiled a separate list of all the important theses from this book, along with all the techniques and tools, and created a step-by-step action plan that you can immediately implement in your life. You can get all this in my community, Place of Power. There, you will find a detailed text analysis with similar lists for each book being reviewed. The community has already thoroughly analyzed and made available to you hundreds of world bestsellers, with a new analysis released every day. Follow the link in the description and use it.